I'm going to do a little take on an apple pie. I've got the Bramleys here, and I'm going to use those for the filling, but as Father Rayner said, if I used all of those, the filling would be wet and mushy and make the pastry really soggy, which I don't want. So I'm just going to use a couple. Into those, I'm going to add a few of the Lord Derbies, and they've got to give the body. They're not going to break down when I cook them. And I think it's nice when you cut into an apple pie that it's just not all mush. You do get texture.
I grate some lemon zest, add a couple of tablespoons of sugar and a little water.
And they've got to cook covered for about 10 minutes with the lid on until they all soften down. For my take on an apple pie, I'm going to do an apple shortcake, which is pretty similar, but the dough is slightly different. Rather than a standard pastry, I'm going to make a cross between a dough biscuit base. So I've got some butter in there that I've just softened down a bit. I'm going to add some sugar, just caster sugar.
Cream the butter and sugar until it's light and fluffy. Mix in an egg and sift in plain flour and a teaspoon of baking powder.
Sifting the flour helps mix up the baking powder and is going to make the pastry lighter. Once that dough has come together, you can see it's quite sticky. What I'm going to do is divide it into two and just put into balls, flatten it out, and refrigerate it for about 30 minutes. That'll just make it a lot easier to work with. While they're in the fridge, the apples are done. They're all softened up and are fluffy. Turn that off and let it cool. The pastry now is a lot easier to handle. You can see it's firmed up. Then just roll it out into a circle. Just get it the same size as the tin. Put the pastry in the base and just push it into the corners. Pile the cooled apples in the centre. You can see the difference in the texture. That's the Bramleys. And there's the Lord Derby, which is firm, and the Bramleys are all mushed up. Just shows you, different varieties of apples will give you a different result.
I have some frozen blackberries, which go so well with apples.
Just for a little bit of colour, not essential. Then put the pastry on top to cover the apples and berries. I'm going to sprinkle a little sugar on, and then it'll make a great crust as it cooks.
Then bake in a moderate oven for just over half an hour. Here's my tip for a quick custard. Put everything into the one pan before heating up gently. First, 4 egg yolks, then a couple of teaspoons of corn flour to help thicken, a good dash of vanilla extract, some sugar, and mix it all together.
Pour in some cream, which I know it's indulgent, but it's a special meal. You can use all milk if you like, but I think with a combination of milk and cream, you get an incredibly silky, luxurious custard.
Cook it gently and keep stirring so it thickens but doesn't get lumpy.
Now, the most important part, the brandy. Oh, those apples. A couple of tablespoons. And just mix that through. Don't cook it with the brandy in because you don't want to cook out the flavour. And then just pour that into a jug to serve. Brandy custard.
My take on the old-fashioned apple pie. A modern apple and blackberry shortcake with brandy custard.